I keep on running through these red flags. I see the signs and I still come back, right? I've just pulled up at the job, and I don't usually listen to the radio. I do, I like to have the Bluetooth on, but the truck doesn't have Bluetooth. So I've had the radio on, and the song's just come on. I looked up who it was. It's Mimi Webb, a newer song, and in the song, I was listening to the song and I was like, this makes so much sense. So she said, I keep on running through these red flags. I see the signs and I still come back, right? So she's on about relationships, but I was thinking about this in a way with customers. So how many times, for you guys that have been in the game for a while, there's these certain red flags that come up, and there's kind of a saying that I've been thinking more and more about. It's kind of lesson is repeated until lesson is learned. And customers will say certain things or do certain things that just, if you've been doing it a while, you go, oh, I've heard that before and it wasn't a good experience. But sometimes you can find yourself in like a cycle of continuing the same. If you don't have a lot of work on and you're coming out and doing quotes and people are saying certain things, you go, oh no, I'm sure it won't be the same this time. They don't mean that in the same. Like a really simple example would be when you go out to do a quote and say, oh, and you say, hey, have you had any other quotes? And they say, oh yeah, you're the fourth and I've got two more. Now that is like straight up red flag. And there's so many of these things that come up as red flags that when a customer says it, if you don't take note of it, and then later on, next time it comes up, you go, oh, I've heard that before, it's not a good idea. There's so many of these red flags that come up that for the first year or two, maybe year or two, 3 years, I mean, they still come up now, that there's like, you can see a pattern in what people are saying or doing, that just, as it comes up by the third or fourth time, you go, oh, this is a pattern. Next time this comes up, I'm not going to make the same mistake again. It can happen with suppliers, it can happen with customers, it can happen with staff. Like certain things happen and you're like, oh, I can see where this is going now. And it's kind of like you can like take a glimpse into the future of what's gonna, it's kind of like almost being able to see the future because you've already been through this once, twice, 3 times. It's kind of like fool me once, was it fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on myself, or whatever the term, you know, won't get fooled again, that kind of thing. But sometimes it's kind of like this lesson is repeated until lesson is learned. If you don't learn your lesson from something, when a customer says something or does something that's just a bit, the thing is, the first few times it happens, you don't realise that it's odd or out the blue that they do that or say that, or staff do and say certain things. And it's only until it's happened a few times that you see the pattern, and then you can see it's kind of just like seeing the future. Anyway, I've got a job to go and do. I'll show you actually. Let me take you with me and I'll show you the job. Just a little one today. We're in Derby, just outside Derby city centre. But let me take you with me. Noel, just turn that radio off a sec. Yeah. Otherwise it'll take my video down. Right, well, is it just brushing up left?
Pin and brush.
Beautiful. Sweeping curves, I love it. This is what I've been on today. Cut a hole for the washing line there. Just need to give it a brush up. Do you know what we might do? Part of this video I might just put a little clip in of us brushing it up. Right, all sorted. Just got to pull the soil into the edge now like I've done down here, just to cover the base work that we left. But yeah, just had to pin it and brush it, but looking good. So back to my earlier point, just keep an eye out, especially if you're in like your first year or two, keep an eye out for, the red flags. Don't do the same, don't make the same mistake twice. If you do, make sure you do not make the same mistake 3 times like I've done in the past. And lesson is repeated until lesson is learned. I'll see you in the next one.